because I didn't feel that I could have a business if I didn't have an MBA. But those are the
Oh,
beliefs that we have developed along the way. Either it could be that you're not good enough if you don't do a certain thing or earn, have an extra zero in your bank account, or if you're not a good mom, or, like we put so much pressure on ourselves that we lose ourselves in the process. And so
I love your map with all those cool words. Like it's perfect for what you do.
they are. I
Yes.
love them. Passion, happiness, good, smile, believe, hope.
Yes, sets you in like the right mood for these types of things, right? Anytime you're about to talk to somebody or you're about to connect with your people, that's awesome. Okay, I'm so glad to have you here today. I find it so fascinating, people who choose to go into psychology and then to use that to parlay into their own business, but also to incorporate what we're doing now and what's really popular, which is empowering women through coaching, especially the women that you've chosen, which I happen to fall into, the 30 and above. So I would love to know how you started in psychology and if that was always what you wanted to do or if it was something that found you.
I think we all begin from us, right? Like things in our life that happen, and you kind of try to make sense of it as to why. Like, why is this constantly happening to me? So for me, psychology really became a thing when I was in my early 20s because I tried to figure out, why am I attracting all the toxic men into my life? And why am I always the heartbroken one? And I didn't really understand that I was the common denominator in it all. And so it was really coming to terms with first getting to know who I am, why I work the way I work, and why is it that every single case scenario that I had in my life is so identical. When I dug into that, and that was actually back in the days where the psychology was pretty sort of black and white, but now there's so many nuances when it comes to this, right? So I've kind of that was sort of the foundation for me to really figure out human behavior and to learn about people. I remember very early on, I used to be very quiet, sitting on a side, kind of watching and observing. And I enjoyed it. And that's really where the signs came that I am interested in getting to know people, connecting, figuring out, like kind of looking behind the scenes in terms of what makes us us. And
Mhm.
so psychology made sense. I was always reading books, taking programs. And it wasn't until about 6 years ago that I really got into the whole coaching world. Because
Mhm.
I didn't think that really, like, I didn't consider myself a coach, although looking back and kind of putting all the pieces together, I have been advising, coaching, counseling pretty much everybody who would come to me. And I was that friend that friends would come to and ask for advice. And even though my relationships were such a mess, they trusted me enough to make a decision or to at least help them decide. And so that's where that love was kind of born for that.
I love that it started with you trying to figure out and understand your patterns and why things kept happening to you. And it turned into you supporting the people around you and the people that came into your life. And also, when it comes to people going to you because they trust you, it's so much more than just trusting your advice. Someone can give really great advice, but if you don't trust them and they don't have that demeanor of openness and acceptance, it's really hard to go to them because you might feel judged or not feel worthy. And there's so many feelings and so many emotions involved in going to someone and being vulnerable and trusting them to really embrace who you are first And then from there, showing love with your advice and with anything that you have to share. Because sometimes I also know when people go to people that they trust, like myself personally, it's not just necessarily to get advice, but it's really just to have someone you care about to listen, just to get it off your chest. And that's also missing for some people. Some people don't have someone they can trust to go to allow for them to let things off of their chest, to let hardships go or to just release themselves of things that they might be holding on to. What have you found the most excitement in? So obviously you help women over 30, but is there a certain niche or certain area that you feel like you really thrive in or you love to hear these kinds of stories that you can help to inspire them to move forward in? Is there anyone that you feel like you gravitate towards?
The one thing that I have been known for is really helping women have that sense of self and truly show up authentically in life, because authenticity is really the pillar of what I coach. Because without authenticity, you cannot build the life of your dreams. You cannot have a relationship of your dreams. You cannot have a career of your dreams, because if you're not knowing who you are on the inside, you're going to follow a wrong path. What I get excited about is to see when women let go of that weight and embrace their authentic power and to truly kind of connect with their soul. Because a lot of us, we lead with ego because we want to control things in life. We want to get good at things in life because somehow that makes us feel worthy and enough. And so when I first gotten into this was really sort of a work-life balance thing, because I was in a career, I was a mom, I was juggling things in life, and I've lost myself. I really lost myself. And the true catalyst for me to leave my 18-year-old career was when I landed in a hospital for 3 months consecutively because I was burnt out, I was overworked, but that people pleaser in me felt guilty to not take time off. I was working, working, working. I would work at work and then I would come home, put kids to bed, and then I would work again, right? I felt that sense of urgency, but I didn't realize that I was finding my worth in all that busyness.
Yep.
And so when I landed in the hospital the third time and my doctor finally said, next time you may not walk out of here. That was a true wake-up call for me to really connect with myself and see what is it that I'm trying to fill? Like, what is that hole that I'm trying to fill with all this busyness and all this work and all these accomplishments and all these diplomas? And, because at that time I was actually working on my MBA, thinking, okay, that's going to be another step for me. But I didn't realize, I'm glad I've finished it. It was hard. I had 2 kids, I had a husband, I had a job, and I had that. But looking back, it really put things in perspective for me, because I didn't feel that I could have a business if I didn't have an MBA. But those are the beliefs that we have developed along the way. Either it could be that you're not good enough if you don't do a certain thing or earn, have an extra zero in your bank account, or if you're not the good mom, or, we put so much pressure on ourselves that we lose ourselves in the process. And so many of my clients, when they come to me, and they usually say, I don't know who I am anymore. Help me find me. And that's the sweet spot. That's like, okay, now I know that you're ready to do the work, because there's so many people out there who want change, but are not ready to do the work.
So that's really important, is for them to recognize that there's something missing, that they can be a better version of themselves. But it's also really important to know that it does require work and it takes action. So just because we have the answers in front of us or we have the certain steps or strategies, if we don't implement, then you could sit there and talk all day and, put out and pour out all of your money and time and expenses and resources, but not get anything back because you're not willing to make those changes. So I know as a mom and just as a woman in general, there are a lot of us who just feel guilty if we're not operating all the time. We're not constantly caring for our children, if we're not achieving the next thing or going for the next goal. So, what kind of advice do you have for them to slow down and to not feel guilty for those moments? Because as you're sharing those stories of yours where you know are constantly going in and feel guilty if you to even take a moment for yourself, because that's just how things were. That's how I was raised. That's how a lot of us were raised, is to say, you know, not only should you look really nice you and presentable, so should your children, and you should have a really great job, you should support your husband, you should make all dinner and all of that, which I don't do half of those things. But it's because I know better now, and I don't beat myself up if I'm not at 100% on some of these things, because I'm just not there, or I don't feel 100% in that day. So there are moments, right, that we go through. But how do we get out of feeling guilty if we're not doing everything all at once?
Well, what you just shared, all the shoulds, right?
Ah, yes.
So the shoulds are basically the expectations, the societal expectations of the world. But a lot of those are driven by generational beliefs of how you should show up. I consider myself to be the chain breaker of these beliefs, because I am like, it stops with me. The buck stops with me right here, because I choose myself, because choosing myself is going to make me a better version for everybody else. Filling my cup and keeping my cup full gives me a lot more ability to pour out to others than when I'm down, like almost empty. And the thing is to really understand that if you are not well, if you're not whole, you cannot serve your family. You cannot give to your career. You are always going to feel like you are being drained. You are always going to feel like you're chasing this happiness, the satisfaction, these wins that are basically seen as success in our society, right? Like having kids, well dressed, well fed, good in school, great students, right? Like I think we have lost the essence of what life is truly about, because there's so much competition out there. And it has put so much pressure on us women in general, because we seem to carry the most weight. We are the glue that keeps the family together. But it is because we were told that this is what is expected of us by those before us. And so when I work with women, I remind them that they're not only moms, they're not only wives, they're human beings, they're women who need to be nurtured, and whose birthright is to be well, to thrive, and not just survive. Because so many of us are just surviving, right? You get up in the morning, you do the breakfast, the packing of lunches if you have kids, you rush out, you drop them off at school, and then you go to work, then you work. That's another expectations, another should. And then you come home, and then there's homework, there's dinners, there's baths, and where in there is you? When do you take time for yourself? And I get it. Life is busy. We all have 24 hours in a day. Some get 8 hours of sleep. Some, like me, get 5. So whatever works for you. But what I do typically is I get up before my family and I do me. I do meditation. I do journaling. I listen to something positive. And I really prime myself for the day, because if I don't, then I'm not going to show up as the best version of me. And so self-care is not a nice to have. It's a necessity for you to be able to really have that foundation where you feel safe, where you feel self-trusting, that you can handle things coming your way, because life is going to happen. But when you take time to take care of yourself, then you can handle them easier. They say things don't get easier, we just get stronger in our conviction, in our ability to handle things. And let me tell you, the 6 years that I've been kind of really putting all this love into myself, like I literally hug myself every morning and I kiss my hand because loving myself gives me the ability to love others more, to pour more love out into the world, to be more understanding and more compassionate and not spent as I used to be.
You gave so many tools and tips on how you get to that level of feeling good and taking care of yourself. The waking up earlier, I love that quiet time as well. For the people who don't know, when
Mhm.
they aren't thriving, for the people who aren't aware that they're lost in the woods, that they are feeling overwhelmed. When you're in those moments, there's clearly a way out and a way to do things better. How do you recognize that there is a better way? How do you know that there is a better way if you're so used to struggling to even make it to just the bare minimum?
That is a great question. So, the way I feel is the best way to really assess that is in the moments when you are happy, when you're light, stop and take notice of what is it that's happening around you? Like, why do you feel the way you feel in that very moment? Because that is going to tell you a lot about what is it that energizes you. And then just amplify it, do more of it. And to your point, making dinner, getting kids ready, even getting dressed in the morning, it's an accomplishment.
Mhm.
Celebrate it.
I think that's huge. Actually, that's a really great point. Little things, because we definitely forget to celebrate the big things, but if we can take it down a notch to the little things, to just take it, even if it's just taking a moment and stopping right there to say they're out the door and they made it on time, like just a little inner dance
These
or
micro appreciations, I call them, right? These are micro pleasures that you see throughout a day. And one of the things that truly helped me is because we can all get caught up in the things that are not going well in our life, that we forget to notice things that are, because it's easier for us to be negative than it is to be positive. So appreciate the things, appreciate the fact that you have a warm bed, appreciate the things that you have a roof over your head and the food on your table, that your kids are healthy. So it's really focusing on the blessings that you have because life is gonna throw curveballs at you. It's just that, okay, do you choose? Because you have a choice. Here's your power, right? You have a choice. You have a choice to choose whether you're going to focus on what's going right or what's going wrong. And what I have found to be true is that when we focus on the good, the universe and the divine sends us more things to feel good about.
yeah, and the opposite is true, and that's really important to be able to stop and see when we're thinking more of the other, which is the bad, or more of what's ahead of us, which is the good, or what's currently happening that is good. So to celebrate the small things, recognize the small things, but also be aware of what's going on. What are we repeating to ourselves? What are we saying so much? Like a really easy example is when you wake up in the morning, are you saying the first thing to yourself is, I'm so tired, or
Yeah.
or oh, you know what, I got this project I'm super excited about, or my daughter has a brand new outfit today that she gets to wear, or she has a test that I can cheer her on for. Like, what is the first thought that comes to mind whenever we wake up? So then, in several moments throughout the day, what are things that we're thinking about? Am I dreading doing the dishes, or am I turning on music that I can enjoy while I do the dishes? How do I get out of that, the
Fun.
negative zone? So all of that is really important and good. Is there something that you've seen that is a recurring situation? We get in these moments where we overthink about what's to come, whether it's something that we're about to do, something that we dream of, that we want to do. How do we get past feeling stuck and take actions, no matter how big or small, to get towards what we want to do? Because I feel like there's a thread that is common in the things that we think, that if we use certain tools. It could be multiple different things, but where would you suggest people start if they feel stuck?
Let's go into the whole stuckness of things. We get stuck because we are looking for things that are going to satisfy this hole that we have within. And what I mean by that is really like we're chasing happiness, we're chasing that feeling of enoughness and wholeness. And when you try to get it externally, it is hard to do that because, you have this goal, you have this thing that you want to do, and you get to that point and you think you're going to be happy right before you get there, and you get there and you're like, is that it? And so I see a lot of that, people chasing careers, people, chasing relationships and all of that because there's something missing in their life. And they feel that this is going to be fulfilled from outside. Another thing with the whole stuckness is that you're not clear on what it is that you want because you have so many ideas that somebody else has put in your head. It's that squirrel syndrome, right? That shiny object, like dog squirrel kind of thing. And getting clear on what it is that truly speaks to your heart. I can tell you that so many women that I've spoken with were in wrong careers because they chase the money, they chase the fame, in a sense, like being successful. And a lot of them it's kind of funny that a lot of them that come to me, they're very creative and they were in these really non-creative positions, and so we had to really get to the point of what would you love to do if money or time were not of the issue? And then they would write things down. And so we looked at it because it's not easy to just leave your job, right? Because we're adults, we have bills, we have mortgages and all of that. But what can you do on a side? Like what can you make time for that is going to bring you that joy, that creativity thing that you're looking for? Because when you go through life kind of checking off the boxes because someone else has put that plan out for you, then you're never going to be happy. You might be happy temporarily. You might have that insta gratification, but you're not going to be truly happy. That's why so many people in their, they say, midlife crisis find out that they're not like on the right path and they feel stuck. Like, I'm stuck in my career. Like, I can't leave my job. But what can you do to step out of the bubble that you're in right now? Find that joy, find that passion in yourself, and you're not going to feel stuck.
What are some activities that we can do to find what brings us joy? Because some of us might have completely lost the connection of, oh, I remember when I used to do this, when I used to knit, when I used to draw or sing or dance. I'm so far removed from it that I don't remember the joy that it brings. So what kind of activities can we do to find the joy?
So I read about that in my book. And one of the things that have helped me, what I did initially, is really kind of reflect back, just like you said. I used to. What used to bring you joy? And think, why did you stop? And what can you do now to bring it back? Or is there something, like we all have that itch sometimes where we're like, oh, I wish I could just do that. We as humans are meant to learn. We're meant to expand. We're meant to absorb the world around us and not just be confined in that little box. Because when we're confined, you can't breathe, you can't stretch, you're stuck, right? You're stuck. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't get out. Yes, you can. Spread your wings, take up space. Do it. And do not care what others are saying, because people are not going to see what you envision in your life your way, ever. It doesn't matter how many times you try to explain it. Let them think what they think, but you stay in your lane, you do your thing, you do you, because you're going to be happier for that. You're going to be less stuck. You're going to be more fulfilled. Then your life is going to actually lighten up. You're going to see a completely different world. New opportunities are going to emerge. You're going to meet new people, or maybe you will notice those who are in your life already, but you haven't really been aware that they're in your life for a reason. Because Speaking about connecting, right? I feel that we're all kind of connected with this invisible cord. Whatever happens to us, whether it's having a conversation with someone, getting advice from someone, crossing paths with someone, working on a project with someone, that happens for a reason. And we may not know what that is, but if you connect the dots backwards, let's say a year from now, I'm going to know why you and I had this conversation today, you know? And
Yeah.
so it's really being open to possibilities.
And just like trusting that process. What you said though also brought something else up for me. And when you're finding joy, don't put a timeline on it. For some people, maybe that's what they need. So for specific things, if it's a project that needs a timeline, that makes sense. But there are things where you should just do it just for the joy of it, for the fun of it, and don't put a timeline. If you don't get to your specific goal, if I don't learn to be fluent, or if I haven't learned 50 different sentences by the end of the year, I feel like a failure. And that's really part of why it just no longer feels good, or why we stop doing the things that we do, is because we are attached to the results, when it should be, if it feels good, just do it and just let it happen, instead of tying it down to something that can weigh us down, and continue to let it light us up. That's so good. And that is also shared in your book. Can you tell me more about your book and how we
Or
can
I was trying to find it. Oh, here's the copy. So
Oh,
this is what
okay.
it looks like. It's called Uncover Authentic You. It's a step-by-step guide to self-discovery and self-acceptance for women. And it is a blueprint that I took 6 years ago that really explains all the steps that I've taken to find me, to uncover me, to be able to share my story, to really understand why I need to share my story and my skills and my wisdom. And it is, you know how we're told you need to love yourself, you need to be more trusting of yourself, but nobody really tells you how.
Nope.
Well, my book tells you exactly how. So it is really a blueprint. And that brings me to really share one discovery that I've kind of uncovered along the way. And that is that things that are happening in your life can be a guide for someone else. Things have changed from, let's say, 50 years ago. Our thinking process has changed. Our resources have changed. Our outlook on life has changed. And so these old fashioned tips may not be useful anymore. So you need to rewrite the book of life yourself. And so I'm proud to say that I'm rewriting it for me, for my kids, so that they can set the stage to be, less dysfunctional, more understanding of life, more compassionate in life, to not have to chase things to make them feel better or make them feel enough. Now I get to show them what not to do, right? So that I can shorten their curve where they learn about life.
It goes back to what you said about appreciating what we currently have right now, and celebrating what we have right now without seeking it, without chasing it and running after it. If we take anything away from this, what are three things that you would say that we should all be practicing regularly?
Self-care, definitely one. Figuring out what that is for you, because it could be getting up early in the morning, even half an hour, just so that you can sit quietly and not have to deal with life, with problems, with issues and all of that. Second is being able to communicate the needs to your loved ones. You got to learn how to communicate to your partner in a language that they understand. Men are very linear. We are very much intertwined in our brains. Men can do one thing. They cannot multitask like we can. Tell them exactly what it is I need. Can you please take the trash out? Can you please get gas in my car?
You're doing a fantastic job with your clients and the people that you're helping. So besides for your book, what's the best way to reach you?
So I am on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, but party happens on Facebook. So Facebook is the best way to find me, to hang out with me, to get informed. And if you want to get in touch with me to see if we can work together, if that's something that you would like to do, then you could just send me a message and I'll reach out. We can hop on a call and discuss because, coaching may not be for you. Maybe you just need consulting. Who knows? And yeah, so whatever it is, I just want you to know that your life can look different in a matter of months if you have the right guidance and if you're willing to do the work.
I love it. That's so perfect. Thank you so much again, Illa, for having this conversation with me and reminding us that putting ourselves first is not something we should feel guilty about, but it also allows us to be so much better for everyone around us. But it starts with us. Thank you again. It was so much fun, and I look forward to chatting with you and seeing you again online.
Thank you so much for having me.